Okay, let's unpack this. We're living in a world just, well, overflowing with information, right? Especially when you look at cutting-edge tech like AI. It feels like you're always trying to keep up. And we all know about large language models, LLMs, and how powerful they are. But here's the thing, really unlocking that power, getting exactly what you need from them, that takes a specific kind of skill. So the big question we're diving into today is, how do you actually talk to an AI to get precisely what you want?
Yeah, it's definitely more nuanced than just, typing in a basic question. And that brings us straight to our deep dive today, prompt engineering.
Prompt engineering. Okay.
Think of it as a fairly new discipline. It's all about crafting and really optimizing the prompts you feed these models.
Prompts being the instructions.
Or the question.
Exactly. The detailed instructions, the questions, basically how you ask. It's about making these language models work efficiently for, well, a huge range of applications and research areas. Fundamentally, it's about mastering communication with AI. Mastering communication, that's a really key phrase there. And for you listening, our mission today is simple. We want to give you a shortcut to understanding this really vital skill. The goal is you'll walk away knowing not just what prompt engineering is, but why it's so important, how it's different from other AI development stuff, and frankly, some of the pretty surprising ways it's being used right now.
Right. And if you connect this to the bigger picture, prompt engineering is, well, it's kind of indispensable. It helps you really push the boundaries of these LLMs. It lets you understand both their massive capabilities and their current limitations. You get a feel for both sides.
Okay, so understanding the limits too, that's important.
Definitely. For researchers, it's a key tool to get better performance out of these models on really complex tasks. Think advanced question answering or even tricky things like arithmetic reasoning. And for developers, it's how you build solid systems that can talk smoothly with LLMs and maybe connect them up with other software tools.
So it's not just some niche technical trick then. It sounds much more fundamental, like an essential skill if you want to really build with or interact with or even just understand LLMs properly.
Pretty much, yeah. It even plays a big role in making models behave predictably, keeping them on track, making sure they perform reliably, or even helping them absorb specific knowledge, say, by connecting them to external info sources.
Okay, that makes sense. But why this approach? I mean, why prompt engineering when you could, say, fine-tune a model? What do the sources say about that choice?
Ah, good question. The sources are pretty clear on this. Prompt engineering is way faster and much more resource efficient.
Faster and cheaper, basically.
Essentially, yes. Fine-tuning often needs serious hardware, high-end VPUs, lots of memory, and it can take hours, sometimes days. Prompt engineering, though, you just need text input, and you get results almost instantly. It makes it incredibly cost-effective because you're generally just using the base model that already exists.
Right, instantaneous results. And that speed, that's where it gets really interesting, isn't it? That means you can iterate incredibly fast, solve problems much quicker.
Exactly. You can tweak a prompt, see what happens immediately, refine it again. It's a very dynamic process. Plus, think about data. Fine-tuning often needs a lot of specific labeled data, which can be a massive pain to get hold of.
Yeah, data collection is always a bottleneck.
But prompt engineering, it can work with very little data. Sometimes none at all. That's called zero-shot learning, just giving the instruction. Or maybe just a handful of examples. Few-shot learning.
Zero shot. So just tell it what to do, no examples needed.
Sometimes, yes, for certain tasks. And what really stands out is the flexibility and adaptability you get. You can experiment with completely different ways of asking, see the results right away. That's super hard to do with fine-tuning. It also means you can adapt models to totally new areas just by feeding them the right context in the prompt. No retraining needed.
And it actually helps the model sort of
Yeah.
get what you're asking for, right? Like understand the context better.
Precisely. Prompt engineering is remarkably good at helping models use external information, like documents pulled from a database. And crucially, it preserves the model's general knowledge.
Ah, unlike fine-tuning, which can sometimes lead to that. What was a catastrophic forgetting.
Exactly that, where the model learns the new stuff so intensely it forgets some of the broader things it knew. Prompt engineering avoids that. It keeps the wider understanding intact. And another big plus, especially if you've wrestled with AI outputs before, is transparency. The prompts are just text, human readable. You see exactly what instructions the model got.
Yeah, that transparency must be huge for figuring out why it did what it did. Debugging and understanding.
Hugely helpful, yes. And the applications, they're surprisingly broad and sophisticated. We're talking everything from generating complex code like Python snippets or intricate SQL queries.
Wow, okay. Code generation.
Yeah, right through to really creative writing tasks, like designing completely new words or crafting poems with very specific rhyming schemes. It's also used for evaluating text quality, pulling out very specific pieces of information from a document, or even generating high-quality images from task descriptions.
So it's way beyond just text in, text out. It really stretches across different kinds of tasks and outputs. Can you maybe walk us through a specific example,
Yeah.
something that really highlights the sort of nuance and power here?
Sure, certainly. One area that's quite surprising is using it to guide an LLM through complex, multi-step reasoning, almost like teaching it how to think about a problem.
Teaching it to think? Okay, how does that work?
Well, imagine you need an AI to draft, say, a detailed legal brief. A simple prompt like, write a legal brief about X might just give you a generic summary. But with prompt engineering, you could instruct the LLM to adopt the persona of a senior paralegal. You could give it a specific chain of thought to follow. First, identify key precedents, then analyze their relevance, then structure the argument logically. You can even specify the required tone and
So
style.
you're breaking it down for the AI, step-by-step instructions within the prompt itself.
Exactly. This kind of nuanced, structured output, getting the AI to follow a specific reasoning process,
Yeah.
maybe breaking the problem into smaller chunks for it, that's incredibly hard to achieve without really precise prompting. It basically transforms the LLM from just a knowledge database into a more sophisticated reasoning partner. It can create content that's remarkably specific and understands the context much better.
That's a fantastic example. It really shows how you can almost, well, program the AI's thought process just using natural language. It sounds like prompt engineering is becoming the sort of Swiss Army knife for interacting with these LLMs,
Yeah.
covering everything from those complex reasoning tasks you mentioned to all sorts of question answering, whether it's closed domain, open domain, even tricky science questions.
That's a good way to put it. And it's also key for generating good text summaries or even helping ensure the AI behaves itself.
Behaves itself, like staying safe and on topic.
Right. Mitigating things like jailbreaks, where users try to trick the AI into going off limits, or preventing prompt leaking, where the AI might accidentally reveal sensitive parts of its own instructions. Prompt engineering helps manage all that.
Okay, so bringing this all together, what does this really mean for you, the listener? We've covered a lot about prompt engineering today, and I think we keep coming back to that core idea. It really is your key to unlocking the full potential of these large language models.
Absolutely. It's powerful, it's flexible, and it's incredibly resource efficient. As we said, much faster and way more cost effective than things like fine tuning.
Yeah, and it allows for that super fast iteration and adaptation. It keeps the model's general knowledge safe, and it gives you that transparency, which is so helpful.
And we've seen how it boosts the ability to handle complex tasks, its huge range of uses from code to creative stuff, and importantly, its role in building AI interactions that are robust and predictable.
So looking ahead,
Yeah.
as LLMs keep evolving and get even more integrated into, well, everything we do, daily life, work, the ability to speak their language effectively through prompt engineering, that's only going to become more important, isn't it?
It seems inevitable, really.
So here's a final thought for you to consider. We know prompt engineering helps LLMs understand external content better, connect to tools, even manage their own reasoning. So thinking about that, what new frontiers could you explore by mastering this kind of precise communication with AI? How might this skill empower you to build something new, to innovate, or maybe just to navigate this future of information more effectively?